Over the first year of his presidency, Donald Trump has criticized modern news media, popularizing a particular phrase, fake news. Modern journalists have been struggling to maintain credibility in the eyes of the public. Social apps like Twitter and Facebook are an effective way of spreading false news articles that widen the gap of distrust between the journalists and the public.
I mean, I've had people walk up to me and say, "Oh, what are you studying?" And I'll say, "Journalism." And they're like, "Oh, so you write the fake news?"
Leah Cavalier, chief editor at the Vermilion, says that young journalists must learn to stay positive when faced with criticism on social media.
Our local reporters are having to work so much harder and provide so many more sources, just hoping that people will understand that this is the real standard, this is actually what's happening, and we're not just making things up and printing whatever we hear.
And while young journalists can handle the pressure of running a college-based newspaper, it is once they graduate and enter the career of professional journalism that their reputation and credibility is tested in the eyes of the public.
Daily Advertiser news director Kristen Askelson says that journalists must work to use social media to respond to any doubts the public has on their stories.
When people label your legitimate news stories as fake news, and when they criticize a legitimate news source and hardworking journalists, that it's important to have a conversation with them and be as transparent as possible.
With social media being such an impact in the way people get information, fake news articles have been increasing the public's doubt on journalists. However, news writers like Lee Guidry says that if journalists use credible sources and be open to talk on social media, that gap of distrust can be closed. For Louisiana Focus, I'm Andres Aguilar.